Hi everyone, Dhyana here. Super happy to be guiding us through our practice this week on Dhyana, the seventh limb of yoga. And after studying it and learning about it throughout this semester more, my embodiment of it is the idea or practice of absorption. It's to the point where we're so connected with all the other limbs of yoga, for example, asana, pranayama, to name a few, meditation, withdrawal of senses, that we're so connected with those things that we're able to get to this point in our meditation and life practices where we feel just absorbed. It's said that the time that you realize that you're absorbed with this sort of oneness is the second that you exit it. So you may not even get to that place where you're like, I am aware I'm in Dhyana. And so I think that can be a challenge of teaching it in a sense. So less about thinking it as, oh, I have to attain this level of Dhyana, and more about just practicing and indulging in all the other limbs of yoga, so much so that you just become connected and absorbed with the practice of yoga. So today, on that note, I'm going to talk about us just being ourselves and becoming one with who we are, our mission at our core, and absorbing all that we are. So I encourage you to just be you and practice today. And for our props, if you have a block, go ahead and grab that, as well as a mirror. If you have a mirror, either a handheld one or one close by. If you don't have a mirror, then grab a picture of yourself. Go ahead and pause the video and come back, and we'll meet on our mat. So come to a seated meditation to begin. If you need to, as always, you can use blankets under the hips or blocks to sit upon. And keep your mirror or your picture of you close by. And we'll start with the mirror, the picture just in front of us, and begin to start just looking at yourself. Begin to focus, because without first focusing and connecting to the other limbs of yoga, Dhyana is not attainable. So let's start to connect and focus intentionally on ourselves. And as you're gazing at yourself, take a deep breath in and an open mouth breath out. A couple more like this, remembering that the breath is a part of who we are, our life force. Breathe in. Open mouth, breath out. Begin to think about who you are, your true self, your soul connection, what your mission is here on earth. And remember to just be you, rather than trying to fit into the standards of maybe what you think you should be or things like that. Just connect more with really who you are and absorbing that at its core. So for me, it's just embodying my authenticity, sharing my gifts and knowledge from a place of confidence rather than fear. Whatever resonates with you, take a few moments gazing at yourself, peering into who you are, and remember to just be you. How does it feel to begin to think about these things and begin to absorb them and embody them? Continue gazing at yourself into your eyes, whether that's your photo or your mirror. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Perhaps even vocalize as you gaze at yourself, I am. Fill in the blank. As we go throughout practice today, you can return back to this mirror, this photo at any time, or perhaps just close your eyes if you lose sight of who you really are at your core. When you're ready, begin to close the eyes and just start to embody and envision all that you are. Let each breath guide you closer to believing this, embodying it, and absorbing it to be true for who you are. Begin to find the breath you'll use for practice today. Remove anything out from underneath your bottom. Come to seated on your bottom. Bring the feet onto the mat. Ujjayi breath, pranayama. Seal the lips. Deep breath in. Deep breath out of the nose. Begin to warm yourself up from the inside out, embodying our pranayama practices. Come to lying on your back. Guide the knees into the chest and begin to think about crow pose. We're going to embody crow pose here, lying on our backs. So with the knees hugged into the chest, start with the toes pointed and begin to lift your arms up, pointing your elbows towards your knees, lining them up. Flex the wrists even, just like you would in crow pose, bringing the hands onto the mat. Now you might just stay right here, the knees pointed towards the elbows, elbows pointed towards the knees. Or if you want to go further, you can begin to place the knees actually on the triceps and have some activation here as you press the tricep into the knees and press the knees into the tricep. Begin to feel this contraction and activation of the muscles of the core, the hip flexors, and the spine. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, extend the right leg straight out. Inhale, curl the knee in, press the knee into the tricep, tricep into the knee, inhale. Exhale, extend the opposite leg out. Inhale, crunch in. Exhale, right leg extend out. Inhale, crunch in, pressing the right knee and the right tricep together as I extend the left leg out. Exhale. A few more times like this. Keep the tricep and knee connection taut with each side and continue pressing the shoulder blades into the mat. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Now just press the triceps into the knees and together as hard as you can. Make sure the elbows don't splay out and the wrists continue to flex. Breathe in, breathe out, hug the knees into the chest. Bring the feet onto the mat and start to windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Back and forth. As you hug the knees in, start to rock forward and back. Come to a seat on your mat. Boat pose, Navasana. Sit up tall. Grab onto the backs of the thighs. Lift the toes up off of the mat. Now we'll find a seated crow pose, bringing our triceps onto the knees, trying to get the knees as close as we can towards our armpits. Again, don't let the elbows splay out, but keep them hugging in. If you want an extra prop here, you can actually bring the block in between your elbows, long ways, and squeeze that as you squeeze the triceps into the knees, knees into triceps. You can stay right here with the wrists flexed, or you can start to rock back, lifting the toes. Stay right here, or find this in a boat variation, lifting both feet off the mat. Continue squeezing the block and grounding the triceps into the knees as you bring the heart forward. Breathe in, breathe out. Big breath in, big breath out. Release the feet down to the mat, set the block off to the side, and we'll meet on our hands and knees in tabletop. As you're here, spread your 10 fingers out wide. Remember who you are at your core and begin to absorb and embody this with every breath. As you inhale, lift the tailbone up towards the sky, drop the belly down, reach the heart through the arms, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose, round, tuck and curl. Inhale, cow pose, drop the belly, lift the heart, extend through the spine. Exhale, flex the spine, cat pose, round. Now start to warm up the wrists, circling in one direction and then in the other, getting nice revolutions into every part of the wrist joint. If you're looking for more ways to open up through the wrist, you can turn one or both hands around, pressing the heels of the hand down, protracting the shoulder blades away from one another as they elevate up to the sky. Gaze down to relax through the cervical spine. Breathe in. Hold for the breath out. Big breath in. Deep breath out. Flip the wrist back around, find a child's pose, hips to heels. As you're here, either gaze in your mirror or remember who you are. And by not only visualizing it, but breathing into that, but also feeling the physical dimensions of our being as you gently rub the fingertips together. Embodying all these different practices to help us fully absorb who we are. Dhyana, absorption. On your next inhale, rise up, tabletop, hands and knees. And remember, if you lose sight of who you are at any time, if you lose sight of the breath, if fear comes into the mind, continue breathing, or perhaps pause in a child's pose and reconnect to the breath. Tuck the toes, hover the knees about an inch off the mat. Shine the backs of the elbows forwards, getting rotation in the arms. Press into the palms, protract the shoulder blades, keep them puffing up towards the sky. Stay here, slowly rock forward and back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a breath in. Open mouth, breath out. Seal the lips. Gaze forward. Gently tiptoe the feet up to meet the hands. Do this very slow. And try to tiptoe the right foot up right behind the right wrist, and the left foot up right behind the left wrist. Over time, you'll start to feel the shoulders stack over the wrists and the hips elevated high. Eventually, we'll meet in our forward fold, again with each foot behind each wrist. Bend into the elbows, send the elbows back towards your knees, and just gently press the knees into the triceps, triceps into knees. Breathe in, breathe out. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Bend slightly into the knees and imagine that you're pulling apart the mat with the feet, finding this energetic contraction and engagement of the outer glute muscles, glute medius. Keep that sort of work of pulling the feet apart from right to left. Bring the hands to the hips. Inhale, rise up to standing. Extend the arms up tall. Exhale, bend the elbows, bring the thumbs towards the back of the neck, and squeeze the elbows towards one another. So rather than them splaying out like so, find that hugging sensation here. Maybe even imagine that you're squeezing that block in between the elbows. And take a deep breath in, root down through the feet. Hold for the breath out. Now here, keep your left hand on the right shoulder. Send the opposite arm behind for Gomukhasana arms. You can stay right here or clasp the hands. If you need a strap in between the hands, feel free to grab that. Take a deep breath in, getting a nice stretch through the left tricep. Hold for the breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Go ahead and switch other side. Find your clasp of the opposite way, either clasping the hands or just guiding them towards one another. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Full breath in, full breath out. Unwind, meet at the top edge of your mat. Grab onto your block. Squeeze the block in between the hands, hold it up above our head. Preparing here, keep squeezing that block, bend the elbows, tricep dips, and lift. And dip, and lift, and dip, and lift. Keep hugging those elbows in for 3, strengthening our triceps for a crow pose for 2. One more, good work. Set the block down, release into a forward fold. Plant the hands, take an inhale breath. Exhale. On your next inhale, step the feet back, high plank. If you need to modify, if the shoulders aren't warmed up, go ahead and drop to the knees. On your next exhale, find a chaturanga push-up. Hug the elbows in. Make sure you squeeze those triceps. Inhale, up dog or low cobra. Think about reaching the heart through the arms and keeping active through the legs so you don't collapse into the low back. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, downward facing dog. Tuck the toes. Use the leverage of the bend in the knees to help support the spine. Knees bent more, longer spine. Knees bent less. Can you keep that long spine? Inhale, lift the right leg high. Exhale, step the foot in between the hands. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Make sure you're popping up high on the tiptoes of the back foot with the toes facing forward. Take a breath in. Option to stay here. Exhale, pulse the back knee. Bring the hands towards your hips. Squeeze those elbows back behind you. Strengthen the rhomboids. Inhale, reach up, lengthen the back leg. Exhale, double lunge. Squeeze and pull. Inhale, reach. Exhale, squeeze and pull. Inhale, reach. Exhale, squeeze and pull. Inhale, reach. Exhale, plant the hands down. Step back, high plank. Take a breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg high to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. Step the foot in between the hands. Stabilize by squeezing the inner thighs towards one another. Guide your outer left hip in towards the midline of the body as you reach the arms up. Take a breath in. Stay here. We'll exhale, pulse the back knee, bring the fist to the hips. Inhale, reach, lift, extend. Exhale, crunch in. Inhale, reach. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, reach. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hands to mat. Step back, high plank. Are we feeling warm? Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bend into the knees, gaze forward, and start to tiptoe the feet up behind the wrists. Bend the elbows, send them back towards the knees. Keep the triceps hugging in. Find this connection of knees into triceps, triceps into knees. Connect to your core. Begin to become one with the mission of who you are and what you embody each and every day. You can stay right here, start to sway forward and back, lifting up the heels slightly and then rooting them back down. If you do so, keep hugging those elbows in just like you would in crow pose, and keep that taut connection of tricep to knees. Gaze a few inches in front of your mat. As you're ready, root the heels back down. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Take a breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Now we've already embodied crow pose in many different shapes, lying on our back, seated, and this prep work of walking the feet up. Now we'll get the opportunity to go into crow pose. Root the hands down in front of the feet. Bend the elbows back just like you would in chaturanga and bring a connection of the knees onto the triceps. Rather than gazing at the toes or the hands, gaze about 5 inches in front of the mat. Begin to puff up through the shoulder blades just like we would in high plank, and squeeze the elbows just enough, just like we did with that block work in our tricep dips. Press the knees into the triceps just as much as we did with our lying down crow pose. Keeping all this in mind, you can start to lift the heels. Breathe in. When that fear starts to creep in, absorb yourself with the mission of who you are at your core. Remember your pranayama, your self-talk, all the things we've learned in our yoga journey, and use that to be who you are. You can stay right here, perhaps lift one foot or both off the mat. If you decide to do so, remember to continue squeezing everything in. Keep pressing those knees firmly into the triceps and hugging the triceps in. Breathe in, breathe out. If you need extra assistance, step up onto a block to help elevate the hips a little higher, or bring a block in front of your face if you're afraid of falling. When you're ready, bring the toes gently back down. Take a breath in. On the breath out, round, tuck, and curl. Lift the heels. Bring the forehead to the knee. Breathe in. Breathe out. Begin to sit down on your bottom. And take a moment to pause. Begin to reflect. Whether you got into flying crow today, lifting both feet off the mat, or whether you didn't is not the point. The point is that we are able to embody who we are at our core. Become one with our mission of us being us. We visited crow pose in many different variations. So we can learn it in different ways to better absorb the pose for what it is. Strength, focus, fighting fears. When you're ready, slowly start to lower down onto your back. Guide the knees in towards the chest. Take a breath in and a breath out. Straighten the legs up towards the sky. Give some love to the hamstrings. Perhaps bringing the hands onto the backs of the knees for some added support. Take a breath in and a breath out. As you feel ready, begin to guide the knees in towards the chest. Start to rock forwards and back, coming up to a seat on our mat. And we'll now find some stretches for our hip flexors. So from your seated position, go ahead and roll over the shins, come to a kneeling posture, and bring your right knee and foot forward for a low lunge. Start to lunge deeply into the front knee. And then if you're not feeling enough sensation, go ahead and back up, stacking your torso right over your left knee. Root down through the left knee. And imagine here that your right heel is sliding towards your left knee. Getting that nice contraction along the back side of the right thigh, the hamstrings. Take a big breath in here. Hold for the breath out. Remember who you are. Perhaps gaze down at your photo or in the mirror. And remember, you build upon the tools of who you are at your core each and every day. With those self-care practices, with honoring your passion and goals in life. By tuning in to discover who you are along this yoga journey. You're deeper absorbing and becoming one with yourself each and every day. Bring the hands to the heart and just switch out the legs. Bring your right knee back, left foot forward. Start by lunging quite deeply forward, and then start to back it up, stacking your torso over your right knee. Find that nice energetic contraction by pulling your left heel back towards your right knee. And then think about reaching your core just slightly forward, reaching up through the arms. If you find that you're collapsing in the low back, just bring the front ribs forward slightly, and perhaps just gently guide the tailbone down. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. One more big breath in here. On the exhale, reach the hands down. Step back to tabletop, and we'll meet in child's pose. As you're here in your child's pose, take some deep breaths. Throughout class, we were able to connect, concentrate, and focus on some of the limbs of the yoga path. It is through that we are able to connect deeper with ourselves and perhaps reach this point of absorption. As you were practicing, maybe there was a time that you felt so alive, perhaps that aha moment when the feet lifted in crow pose. How did that feel? How did it feel to remember who you are, remember that you have the strength, the power to live your mission each and every day?
Now that we've just kind of reset and better connect with our true essence, absorbing with who we really are, we'll go into crow pose one more time with the option for crane pose where we actually extend up through the arms. Just remember all the tips and tricks we've gone through thus far in class already. And embody those. Use them as a foundation, as a practice to help you focus on so we can better absorb and embody crow pose, not just the physical aspects of it, but the feelings of honoring who we are. As you're ready, bring the hands down into the mat in front of the feet. And bend the elbows and the triceps to the knees, knees to triceps. Already feel your hips hiking up, up, up. Continue with that lift of the hips and that really nice squeeze of knee and tricep connection. Gaze a few inches in front of your mat. Press into the mat, lifting the shoulder blades apart and up towards the sky. Stay here, lift one or both feet from the mat. Once you feel stable, imagine you're pressing your mat through the floorboard, straighten the arms. Remember who you are. Press the hands into the mat. Keep the elbows hugging in towards one another. Breathe in. Feel the lift of the hips. Hold for the exhale, and here we are, absorbing and embodying not just who we are at our core, but embodying crow pose. Embodying the path of yoga throughout this whole journey. When you feel ready, drop the heels and the feet back down to the mat. Shake out the wrists, and slowly bring your bottom down to the earth. Go ahead and shake out the legs. And we'll meet in Apanasana, lying on our backs, hug the knees in towards the chest. Stay here, or perhaps find happy baby pose, lifting the feet up towards the sky. Stay here, or gently find movement, extending one leg and then the other. Release your feet onto the mat, take a breath in. Exhale, windshield wiper to the left. Turn your head to the right. Take a breath in and a breath out. Inhale back to center, switch it out other side. Knees to the right, gaze to the left. Big breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, come back to center, squeeze everything in tight. Here we are, embracing ourselves. Remember who you truly are at your core and how we can absorb that through our life practices. Breathe in, squeeze tight. Exhale, Shavasana. Let everything go onto the mat. Find what's comfortable for you and your body. Perhaps reflect on this idea of Dhyana. It is after we embody the 6 limbs of yoga with attention and focus that this comes almost naturally. Perhaps you haven't experienced it yet. Or perhaps you had that little glisten and glimmer where you were just completely in the moment, absorbing who you are. Enjoy the time that is now. And from right where you are, you can grab back onto that picture or your mirror and gaze at yourself once more. Perhaps give yourself some self-talk as a reminder of embodying who you are. Just be you. When we embody all the things that make us, us, we naturally become absorbed in that state. Perhaps that's through focusing in a mirror or through our pranayama and movement practices like we did today. And setting that off to the side, bring the hands to the heart or from wherever you are lying down. Take a deep breath in. Remember, you are uniquely you. Open mouth, exhale. The soul in me honors and sees the soul in each of you. Thank you so much for taking the courage to embody who you truly are. Namaste.